Hey, welcome back. So let's talk about writing these articles. I know that thinking of having to write something can bring back memories of like being in a high school or whatever and staring at the blank page of a term paper. So it's not actually that bad, especially if you really understand the purpose of the article. All right. So we went through the escape and arrival frameworks. You kind of know what to make it about, but let's talk about what they're actually supposed to do. And I'll explain this little image over here on the right. All right. So every article basically has three purposes. The first one, of course, is to provide value to your prospect, right? So if we're using this omnipresence method, then we're basically sticking with three main pillars that are going to be the messages that we're putting out to the perfect people. And we're doing all of this content production, right? Which seems like a lot, but it's actually not really that much when you look at the actual work involved. Then we need to understand that in order for this person to want to do business with you, you have to start helping them and convince them that you can help them as well. And of course, the best way to do that is by actually helping them. So step one is we really want to provide helpful value to the prospect. Step two, and the mission, number two, is that we want to establish authority. And fortunately, this actually happens really by virtue of being helpful. So the fact that they're seeing you all over the place, and the fact that you have videos, and the fact that you're in a podcast, and the fact that you're publishing these articles, and the fact that you are now seeming to be everywhere increases the perception of authority. But what is really going to cause that authority button to be pressed, so to speak, is the fact that you're helping them. Right? So anytime, this is according to Eben Pagan, by the way, this is where I learned that, anytime you can describe someone's problem to them better than they can describe it themselves, bam, you're establishing authority and you're building trust. So if we do that, which is, of course, we're intimately aware of where they want to escape from, and then we start helping them arrive at the destination where they want to arrive to, well, because you're the person that's actually leading them and helping them arrive, they're going to naturally start looking to you as a leader. So that's great. So that means we don't have to do a lot of posturing, so to speak, which is it has its place, but it's not really going to be what you want to do. Now, the third thing that we want to have accomplished by every single article and every piece of content that you create is going to be, we want to drive the prospect towards some action. And just so you know, when I'm saying articles, what I really mean is the content. Because remember, we take that same content in the article and we repurpose it. So we want to drive the prospect towards some action. And the action is typically going to be one of two things. It's either going to be to go to a website and opt in for a lead magnet. Like, hey, if you enjoyed this, you'll really enjoy my white paper on XYZ or whatever. Or it is going to be to ask the prospect to request a conversation with you so you can then go through the collaborative close. So those are really going to be the only two actions we're ever asking them to do. All right, so I'll go in mechanics of that later on in the course, but let me just kind of give you some insight on what's going on here. So if you look over here on the right at this image, these are some stats. So this is an article that I created, and this was actually 7 million times longer than it needed to be. This is really before I figured all of this stuff out. And just have a look at it. It had 51,740 visitors. Is how many people went and read the article. And of those people, 6,688 of them opted into my list. And that's a 12.99% conversion rate, which if it were an opt-in page would be terrible. But it wasn't an opt-in page. It was an article. As a matter of fact, hang on a minute and I'll show it to you. So here it is. This is the page, right? So I created this before I had really looked into how to sort of create a factory and make these things kind of repurposable and make them go viral. So even with that knowledge, still 51,000 people have gone and read this thing so far. And look at this. All right. So I haven't really laid this out properly. I'm showing you sort of the basic way to do it, which isn't even the right way to do it. I'm really trying to show you this by virtue of saying, even if you do this wrong, it can still be powerful. So what's wrong with this article? Well, the first thing that's wrong with it is there's no call to action anywhere above the fold. The second thing that's wrong with it is, look, it is one, two. I mean, imagine how many pages this would be. And by the way, look at the layout here. I built this personally. Look at the layout. I've got like 4 inches between the end of this paragraph and then the subhead here. But look, we have keep scrolling. I think this thing would be, if we printed it out, it would be like 20-something pages. I just went crazy with this thing. I was like, I really want to make this unbelievably good article, and send it out there, which is cool. But look at this. So the purpose of this thing, threefold: provide actionable value, super valuable for them. To establish authority, totally does that because I'm teaching them something really, really cool. And the third thing, of course, is to get someone to take an action. So I'll just scroll all the way down here. Now we're at page 9 million. All right. So the action is to get them to opt in to my list, right? So that's pretty cool. And in this case, I'm going ahead and setting up the irresistible intrigue offer here, right? So I'll show you more about irresistible intrigue offer as we continue working together. But this is the purpose of this is to get people to want to raise their hand and talk to my office about doing professional services for them. So that's about a $15,000 sale. So I'm coming right out and I'm telling them, hey, I set aside some time for my office to personally review your current sales and marketing process. This is in the pillar of automation. Remember, we have 3 main pillars of your messaging. So one of mine is automation. So this is an article that falls in that automation pillar. So I'm saying I've set aside some time for my office to personally review your current sales and marketing process and design a fully customized behavioral dynamic campaign for you for free. Blah, blah, blah. Here's what to do next. Then I say, okay, go ahead and opt in here. And I'm telling you my hidden motivation. I'm building a little bit of curiosity. My hidden motivation is that I want them to become a client. I come right out and tell them here. So it's a very, very soft sell in terms of the opt-in. There's no opt-in form here. There's no big buttons. There's nothing. And even though the reader had to read this entire thing, and even though there's like, an inch and a half or whatever of distance, it's laid out terribly and the font is very small and is relatively hard to read, still 12% of the readers ended up joining my list, which for an article like this is very, very, very good. Okay, so let me show you another example of one. And this is one that is slightly better. So this is kind of a little bit of a better layout. So here, I don't have the stats of this one in front of me. This converted better, by the way. This is a little shorter, all right? And it's doing the same thing. This is about marketing messaging, all right? So that's another one of my pillars, okay? We got marketing pages, marketing messaging, and automation. And so this is in the messaging pillar. And in this case, I'm just teaching them some cool stuff. And this one is not as many pages. They still have to scroll down forever to read it. It's a little bit better laid out. And then I'm telling them, hey, here's more stuff. If you enjoyed this, you can go and you can opt in over here, right? So, slightly different layout. Now, let me show you a better layout, all right? So I want to show you the proper way to do it. Now, here's what's funny. When I built these, I didn't know how to use WordPress, which is, I know you're probably like, you've got to be kidding me. A kindergartner could use WordPress. So I built this in a relatively complicated page builder called Unbounce. So let me show you a better version, all right, that is significantly more effective. So let's have a look at this baby right here. This is on good old Digital Marketers Boys Brothers Band's website. That's how I like to refer to them. This is a good blog, by the way. I actually think that someone could take this blog and rewrite all of the posts and put them in a product and sell the product for $1,000. It would be worth it. So if you like really solid marketing advice, you should check out this blog. And you know what? That's exactly what a blog is supposed to do. Drive so much value to the reader that they recommend it to other people. But let's look now at this particular layout and the post. So let's ignore the layout for a minute and let's look at the post, and we'll talk about why this is so much better than my original versions and why it's good news for you. Okay, so first of all, what's better about it? Well, number one, really easy to understand social engagement buttons, so you could, like it on Facebook and all of that kind of stuff if you want to. Number two, it's got graphics, man. It's easier to read. It's broken up by pictures. So we have like right above the fold right here, we've got pictures, pictures, pictures. Now, speaking of pictures, if the goal, remember, our goal is 3 parts, right? We want to provide value, which of course is going to boost our authority. And number 3, we want the reader of the blog to do something. In their case, of course, Digital Marketer sells more information products than they do professional services. They're driving people towards an opt-in. What happens here? If you click here, right here, boom. There you go. What's this? An opt-in page, right? So that's where that link takes you. So right above the fold, the person can opt in. It's related. Blog audit is related to blog post template. Let's scroll down. Okay, so we got cool stuff. This is very, very easy to read. We're scrolling down. We've gotten some value. We had one ability to click already. We've got pictures, which are cool. You know, you gotta love pictures. I didn't have any pictures. Let's scroll down some more. All right, more pictures, and all of this is very, very good information, of course. So really easy to read and easy to consume, even if people are scrollers, which they are. All right, so we scroll down a little bit more, and my gosh, what is this right here? This is another image. If you click this image, you go here, and what do we have? A related opt-in, right? So we have yet another way for the person to opt in. So if you compare this layout now just to, let's see here, this one, which is my people who say no, you've got to first, there's nothing pretty to look at on the page, and you've got to roll all the way down here to get an opt-in, which is just ridiculous. You know, still worked though, but I bet that it would have converted significantly better. All right, so here, let me keep on going down here. Now, the question is going to be, well, how do I make these? Well, here's the great news. This is a standard issue blog page, right? So just about every blog in the world looks like this. This clearly looks like a blog, and it is easy to create blogs if you use WordPress. So if you want to have like a pretty blog, you can just type in cool looking blog themes on Google and you'll be good to go. As a matter of fact, let's just do that. There we go. So I've done a search for professional looking blog themes. I actually typed it wrong. Okay, and here's all sorts of cool looking places that we can check out. So some of them are free, some of them aren't. Look, 65 free blogger templates 2016 new releases. So this is amazing. These things all work on WordPress, which is also free, which is great. So another awesome place to look is a website called ThemeForest. Or just straight up old school blog pages. Look at these. You know, let's choose a category, WordPress, and then just pick one. I mean, look at all these cool looking things. You know, fast marketing. Look at this. So here you go. Like, so if we look at this and we take a real time look at this sucker, here is what their blog looks like. All right. So hang on. There we go. And we'll go to one of the posts. This is a default out-of-the-box blog thing. So you would have your picture here. It's real easy to read. You have your sidebar where you can tell people to do stuff. And you're gold. So this is very, very simple and free mechanically. So that's the really, really good news. The other good news is that when you're advertising your content, because you can, especially if you want to start kickstarting it, you don't need to spend a lot of money, you're going to get very, very cheap traffic from like Facebook ads and stuff because people click a lot on blog articles and it's stickier. And I'll show you how to do that as we progress here through this course. So that's kind of how you want your articles to look. Here's some examples for you. In the next video, I'm going to show you an example of how I've taken this long article and made a video out of it. All right, so I'll see you in the next video here.